What's up, everybody? Today we are going to grade the rest of the bench unit of Landry Shamet, Anthony Gill, and Johnny Davis. Let's go ahead and grade them, y'all. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. In tonight's episode, we are going to go over the rest of the bench, the bench unit that is of Landry Shamet, Anthony Gill, and Johnny Davis to round out all of our grade videos. Like I said, this is definitely the grade the first week of the Wizards offseason, so we're getting all of the grades out of the way, and this is definitely the last video for the players that is. So let's get into it. Landry Shamet coming over in the Phoenix Suns move, acquiring Chris Paul, and as you guys know, Chris Paul wasn't here for that long. But looking at Landry Shamet, let's look at the stat line real quick. He scored 7.1 points a game, 1.3 rebounds, 1.3 or 1.2 assists, shooting 43% from the field, and from three, he shot 33.8%. Now, I get it. If you look at the MO behind Landry Shamet, he's a shooter. Now, I'll admit, I didn't watch too much of him. Being a Wizards fan, you don't see him too much. He's kind of a journeyman. He's been around the league a little bit. So I expect to see him mostly as a shooter, but I will very surprised about how athletic he was. With his ability to not only attack the basket, man, and put a couple people on the poster. I mean, this guy was not too shabby on the defensive end. He showed a lot of effort, a lot of high energy on the defensive end, and he wasn't, he was what he was, right? A source of points and some energy and defense off the bench. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot of cons now. Looking at the pros, I mean, look again. He's a shooter. Now his shooting numbers aren't the best, but there was a lot going on as far as playing time. Especially under West Hill Jr. The transition to Brian Keefe. A lot of he dealt with his fair share of injuries, so a lot of inconsistency as far as being available. And what do we always say? Availability is your best ability, and so he had his fair share of injuries. Obviously, he was he didn't play a lot, if at all, down the stretch. So early on, he was a source of points off the bench. I do believe his scoring, his shooting numbers are better than what they are, especially from overall from the field. I mean, he shot 43%. I definitely see him as a guy who can shoot 45 plus. His league average is 45. So he definitely can do better on that front. So I think the shooting numbers had a lot to do with him being unavailable due to injury. And so, his pros are he definitely was a source of points, and he provided high energy on defense. The fact that he was a journeyman, he's been around the league, been around the block. He at times, it was a source of leadership. Now was he the locker room guy like Kyle Kuzma being the guy as far as the leader of the locker room? No, but that was a big thing that this year, with a lot of these vets shared a lot of leadership. Early on the season, I kind of talked to Landry Shamet. That's matter of fact, he was one of my first real interviews at the practice facility, and I asked him, man, what knowledge did you kind of hand down to these young guys, considering, it's early on in the rebuild, it's hard to be in a rebuild, motivation could be low. He said, look, and it kind of lines a lot of the vets that I talked to, including the comment from Tyus Jones in the extra interview, which is keep your head up, man. Keep working, keep pushing forward, keep putting in that work. That's the biggest thing, is keep your foot on the pedal, because it's not the end of the world. It's a rebuild, yes, but the biggest key to rebuild is, not only building culture, which I know y'all tired of hearing that, but playing hard, working hard, putting that time in on and off the court. And that's definitely something that he told them. And so, Landry Shamet, definitely provide leadership, definitely provided a veteran presence on the bench. And, looking at, before I grade him, looking at what the long-term fit is, we'll see. Now, next year, he is not, he's still on contract, but it's non-guaranteed. So, what is the option for this team on the second unit? Like I said, a lot of dominoes have to fall before I can really give you an answer what his long-term fit is. Because looking at the draft, we'll see. Point guard, is Jordan Poole the guy? Tyus Jones unrestricted. So there's a lot of things need to happen to really answer that, especially if you're looking at the second unit. Kispert can play the 3 on the second unit. Shamet was a 2 most of the time. It depends on, do they want to further develop Johnny Davis? I think Johnny Davis, to a certain degree, even looking at other players like Jules Bernard, could that conflict with whether Sham is here long term? Absolutely, because it's year 2 of a rebuild. You're still evaluating, still developing, and Johnny Davis wasn't drafted by this front office, so there's not a lot of loyalty per se. But they might have seen something because there are glimpses of Johnny Davis, and like I said, we're going to talk about JD in a minute. But I think that Johnny Davis, and really to a certain degree, Jules Bernard and other players are the really key to whether Landry Shamet is going to be here long term. Because obviously you want to develop. And like I said, Shaman's contract is not really a team killer per se, so it's not going to really kill us as far as overwhelming the cap. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, looking at a lot of the scenarios right now, I'm going to get a clear picture, for you guys, and obviously the organization is going to have a clear picture, a better vision of how they proceed going into free agency and the draft, because there's going to be a mix-up. You're going to see a younger roster next year. I do believe that. So, if I'm a betting man, which I dabble with sports betting a little bit, but if I'm betting on it, you very well could see Landry Shamet be entering the free agent market. But again, if you look at his contract, his presence, he's definitely a source of points off the bench. So do they necessarily need to move him? I think there's a lot of factors, including Johnny Davis, Jules Bernard, and a lot of these younger guys. Could their development be more of a priority than getting minutes to a vet like Shamet? They very well could be. Or give minutes to Shamet, showcase and move him for assets. I don't see him as a guy who's going to get many assets back, but he does have value. But, could you get a second round pick? Could you get a role guy back? I think right now the scenario you're probably going to see is you very well could see him entering the free agency. But he came in, he did his job. He provided high quality minutes. He played high, so, is his skill set, is his stats really going to wow you? No, but he did his job. He definitely was a source off the bench of points. He's very athletic, a guy who can attack the rim, a guy who on the defensive side wasn't too shabby. He got in people's face, had a lot of effort on the defensive end. So where do I grade Landry Shamet? I'm gonna give him a C+, because in my opinion, very small sample size. He dealt with a lot of injuries, a lot of inconsistency as far as minutes. He came in, he did his job. He did his job at a high level, in my opinion. Now, obviously, the injuries really hampered him from a statistical standpoint, because his shooting numbers aren't the best, even though he is a shooter, a guy who can definitely shoot. He's definitely a threat in the perimeter. And again, this is my first season really watching him, and he's athletic. A guy, again, he's going to attack the rim. And he's got some ups on him, man. He got a little ups. And, he definitely has those shoes where you pump him on the side. You know what I'm saying? So definitely surprised to see how athletic he was attacking the rim. But, his long-term fit, there's a lot that needs to happen to see. But for right now, develop is the name of the game. And we do already have veteran guys on the roster who can provide leadership. Again, his contract's not really killing us at all. So, you could retain him, and it's not going to destroy us at all as far as the cap. But if you're going to hold him for the prospect of moving him, he has very low. I mean, not going to say low, but it's very limited in what package you can get as far as in the trade market for Landry Shamet. So we'll see. It's definitely going to get a clearer picture the closer we get to the free agents period and the draft, and the farther we get into the off season, because right now the NBA season is still going on. So, we're one of the few teams that are still working or started their off season. You know what I mean? So you're going to get a clearer picture once the NBA finals are over. But Landry Shamet came in and did his job, and I give him a C+, which, look, ain't too shabby, to be honest with you guys. So we're going to get into Anthony Gill, the unsung leader of the bench unit. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Nissan. So, are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities that take your adventure to the next level. There are 3 great options in the Rogue, the Pathfinder, and our Armada. But I'm going to talk about the Rogue tonight, the 2024 Nissan Rogue, that is, because it's perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. So all you have to do is take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada, and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Tonight's episode is also brought to you by BetterHelp. So, as you guys know, I'm a big catalyst for mental health, man. I think we all have, to a certain degree, things we need to prove on as far as the mental health, right? Because sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get at you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week, which is the economy. I say it all the time, the economy. People are struggling to get groceries, struggling to put gas in their car just to make it work. A lot of people are hurting right now. And, that not only can that take toll on you physically, but everything starts mentally, right? Where your mind is, your body follows. So definitely recommend BetterHelp, because look, therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, right? And it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. Like I say it all the time, guys. I'm a big catalyst of mental health, man. You can't stress enough how much mental health should be important to you, because again, where your mind is, your body follows, man. So you notice stress is a killer, man. People say that all the time. Stress can take a toll on you, both mentally and physically. So if you're thinking of starting therapy today, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. And for my military folk, Hotel Echo Lima Papa.com/LockedOnNBA. Are you guys watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Had to turn on the volume with all that shouting? Made the switch today to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for your every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So let's get back into it, everybody. And we are going to get into Anthony Gill next. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up his stuff right now. But Anthony Gill, in my opinion, and you guys definitely let me know if you agree, but Anthony Gill, in my opinion, has been one of the most under the radar veteran guys on this team. Now, when we think of veteran leadership, last couple of years, you want to think of Bradley Beal at the time because he was a supermax guy, but he was not the leader of this team. Kyle Kuzma was. Kyle Kuzma has been that source of leadership, but you see other guys emerge. Jordan Poole is showing leadership, and he should, as a long-term fit here. Same thing with Denny Avia. As a long-term guy, he is beginning to show leadership. But Anthony Gill, I don't know if you guys noticed, whether in person or watching the games on TV, Anthony Gill is usually the first guy out to high-five people, to get in the huddle, to celebrate. He's that first guy. You see him, he doesn't exactly sit on the bench because he's always on the baseline on the knee. And I've talked to him a few times, and I haven't really talked to him in depth. But from my opinion, from what I've seen, really down-to-earth guy, really easy to talk to guy, a guy who, like I said, under the radar, his track record in the NBA and overseas is not extensive, but he's a guy who has seen enough to be a really good bench guy as far as leadership and can potentially be a head coach one day, in my opinion. I think he definitely shows coach qualities. So let's get into his stats real quick. He averaged 3.8 points a game, 1.9 rebounds, 0.7 assists. He did shoot 47% from field goal and shot, 24.4% from three. So he can shoot the three. Now, obviously, he's not a sniper. He's got the capability, but, is that something he needs to work on? Yes. You definitely want to see him become more of a three-point shooter, get his three-point percentage up. But his field goal percentage is right around where I want it to be. Like I said, league average is 45, shooting around 47. The sample size is small. He's a bench guy. He's probably, in my opinion, one of the most important bench pieces we have in DC, because we don't often talk enough about his leadership and what he does off the bench. But down the stretch run, he started to get minutes. And again, he's not a player. I said this the whole time I've covered the Wizards here, Locked On Wizards, and he's not a guy who's going to wow you with athleticism. He does all of the stuff that you don't put into a category. That's not a stat. Dive for loose balls, being a leader, being a dog, being tough on defense, getting in your face. He comes in, he provides high quality minutes. Now, does his stat line, does him as a player really, no, he doesn't wow you as far as, guys going to go do John Morant type of stuff. But he's a guy who, in my opinion, is one of the most important pieces on the team, because he provides good leadership on the bench. And he's a guy who, when called upon, has shown that he can contribute. He's a guy who can come in and play high quality minutes. So, again, before I get into the grade, I've been impressed by him, because I've noticed the little things just from observing him. Leadership wise, he's very important to his team. As far as being a guy who on the bench who, you don't have a lot of expectations for him coming off the bench as far as production, but he came in down the stretch run, probably the last 10 games of the season, kind of like last year, and played high quality minutes. And he came in and there was a couple games where he scored 15 plus. He was a guy who came in and he did his job and he played well. So the pros are, definitely a leader, definitely a guy who comes in, every day, comes into work, do his job, does all the little things, kind of like a Eugene Emery. And I'm gonna talk about it at the end, but he's a guy who comes in and he does his job. So if you look at the stat line, not the sexiest player as far as stats for you statisticians out there, but he's a guy who, again, he comes in and he does all the stuff that you don't exactly put into a stat category. Being a dog, dying for loose balls, high energy, high motor. He's a guy in leadership. I can't say enough because, like I said, I've watched him a lot this year, and every time out, he's the first guy out there to greet people. Every time, and with timeouts, he's in the huddle. He's talking to young guys. So, you can't have enough leadership. And we definitely have enough leadership for this young cast here in DC between him and Kyle Kuzma. Like I said, I definitely want to see a lot more from Jordan Poole and Denny Avila as far as leadership, because again, they're going to be here for a minute, in my opinion. So, but Anthony Gill, very impressed with him, and I think that you definitely have to look at what he provides as far as leadership off the bench. But don't get it twisted. He can definitely play some ball. He can definitely step in if need be and provide points and definitely provide rebounds off the bench. So, what is his long-term fit real quick? Obviously, he's an expiring deal. Would I be mad if they brought him back? No. I think that maybe you need to consider bringing him back. Definitely, he's not going to command too much as far as salary. And you need a guy like, a guy like Anthony Gill on the bench, a guy who, again, with timeouts, going to be that guy that's going to show leadership. He's going to go out there and, talk to guys, keep guys, mentally into the game, being there, being that veteran. I think, as far as a veteran leadership for this team, which is very important, I think we need to bring him back, in my opinion, because he's shown that he could be that leader on the bench. And if need be, come in and provide quality minutes. So where do I grade Anthony Gill? Man, I'm going to give him a B. And the reason for that is because leadership. Obviously, he's shown that he can play. His stats aren't the sexiest stats, but he does all the little things. Like a Eugene Emery, like a Draymond Green. He's a guy who does all the little things, all the hustle stats. All the hustle. Dying for loose. But I say it all the time. He does all the little things, so he's very important. But leadership is a big reason why I give him B, because the sample size is real small, and I can't give him too high of a grade because his impact as far as on the court production wasn't like that to a certain degree. But if you look at leadership, if you look at how important that is for a young team, we always look at Kyle Kuzma, but I think we don't look enough at Anthony Gill. We need to. So I'm in favor in bringing him back. I don't know if that's in the cards for this team going forward, but I think that leadership is important, especially for a rebuilding team, especially for a young team. So I think the team needs to consider bringing him back. So I definitely grade him a B. So let's get into the last grade, Johnny Davis. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Because look, LinkedIn isn't just a job board, y'all. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to a perfect role in the future. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. I'm trying to tell you guys. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. And like I said, I got out the United States Army in 2011. So I've had multiple state jobs that I've gotten through LinkedIn. You're going to be able to find high quality jobs. There's a lot of, they help you build a resume if you're unfamiliar how to build a resume, which is very, very important. So I can't recommend LinkedIn enough for you guys, man. So look, all you guys got to do is post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So everybody, let's go ahead and round out the grades, and we are going to grade Johnny Davis. So let me go ahead and pull him up real quick. JD. Now, Johnny Davis, big subject this year, everybody. Due to his draft position, due to his struggles, And, this being his second year, are we getting what we should from a guy that we drafted 10th overall? And like I said, I'm not going to get into whose fault it is. Obviously early on, you did see, I will say this, everybody, before I get into the pros and cons, what his long-term fit is and his grade. Johnny Davis was a guy where, to a certain degree, when the team tried to make him a point guard, and we're not talking about the current administration, obviously, we're talking about the last general manager, Tommy Shepard. And I don't know if it was him or it was the scouting department or the coaching, but it was brought out that they were trying to make him a point guard. And I was never in favor of that. He's not a three-point shooter. His three-point numbers at Wisconsin aren't bad, but if you look at the attempts per game, he's not a three-point shooter. What is Johnny Davis? Johnny Davis is a guy who is a scorer. He's a scorer first guard, right? He's a two guard. Maybe he's he's a kind of a smaller wing, maybe, but he's not a point guard. Looking at his offensive skill set, he's not a guy who's going to blow past anybody. He relies on finesse and footwork to score. He's not going to rely on speed because at this level, he's not fast enough to get past anybody. His shot mechanics have been reworked. I don't know how many times. His shot still needs work, in my opinion. But you see the scoring potential with Johnny Davis, and especially with the last 10 games, with him getting some minutes, you see a potential with him being a scorer. Now, again, going back to the previous fact, which is how much loyalty does this front office really have? Because they didn't draft him. Their draft pick is Bilal Coulibaly. So all the chips in as far as development is Bilal Coulibaly. So is he part of the cards going forward? It remains to be seen. It's going to be interested to see what his fit is long term. But his pros, he's a scorer. He's shown that he can score. But the biggest thing as far as cons, to me, I'm going to say confidence. With young players, confidence is key. Confidence, if it's low, takes the player out of the game, especially mentally, which, again, where the mind goes, the body follows. Mentally, if you're not there mentally, you're going to struggle physically, especially on the realm of basketball. And we saw that not only with John Davis, we saw that with Denny Avia. Denny Avia dealt with a lot of confidence issues. And, when his confidence is high, you see a player, you see the potential, you see how good he can really be. And when the confidence is down, you often wonder, where did he go? And this year, Denny's confidence was high. And he played, he got a vote for most improved player. Obviously, it went to Tyrese Maxey. And as much deserved. Nothing against Tyrese Maxey. And there's everybody on the list, you could argue should have got the award. But Denny Avia got a vote. And I think he definitely deserved being mentioned and definitely in the running for most improved player because he broke out. But let's get back to Johnny Davis, y'all. Anyways, Johnny Davis, kind of, getting back to my point, which is confidence, man. Confidence is key, and the confidence you see is low with Johnny Davis. And so I don't know what they need to do. I think the summer league is something that he needs to be in summer league. He definitely needs to be in summer league. He needs to get as much repetition he can with that shot. Definitely work on the shot mechanics, get better with the shot mechanics. Definitely work on the shot, because if he can get that perfect shot down, as far as a higher release, the release is around, right around his head. A higher release, I think he needs that. But if he can work on that, show more of a consistent shot and it's more of a consistent motor offensively, we'll see. Maybe he can definitely get that two guard position of second unit and see if this organization can further develop him and get him right and get him where he needs to be. Because, again, the expectations for being a guy who was chosen 10th overall, he has not hit that plateau. And so, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what the long-term vision is from the front office of Will Dawkins, Travis Schlenk, and Michael Winger, how much they value Johnny Davis and how much they consider him part of the future. So we'll definitely see. But where to grade him, man? I'm gonna give him a D. I was kind of flowing towards D minus. 10th overall, you expect more. You do. And I'm gonna look at everybody from an organizational standpoint. Wes Unseld Jr., he had his flaws. Obviously, that's why he's no longer the coach. I'm not going to kick a man while he's down. It is what it is on that front. But the fact that early on with Wes Unseld Jr., he dealt with a roster where on one hand you have veterans who either A, got paid or looking to get paid, and then on the flip side of the coin, young guys who is very vital for them to get playing minutes. And Johnny Davis never really got consistent playing minutes, in my opinion. And you saw a lot more consistent in consistency as far as playing minutes under Brian Keith. But Weston Steele Jr., in my opinion, didn't do him a lot of justice as far as playing minutes. He really didn't. So that that's one thing that's on the organization. As far as Johnny, when given minutes, you had to respond. And there's been times where he's had Shaq-full moments where you've had the other team laughing at him, laughing at his shot. So that had a lot to do with his confidence. So we got to find a way to get his confidence back up. And like I said, if he's part of the future, if they look to further develop him, let's get it, man. But you definitely need to see work on both sides of the coin for an organization, putting him in the best position to succeed. And on the flip side of the coin, putting himself in the best position to succeed. Capitalizing when you get minutes, definitely looking at ways to get your game better. If you know that you're not going to blow past anybody, work on your footwork, work on your counter moves, work on, the mechanics of your shot. Defensively, look, and that's one thing I didn't say before, and that's on me. One major pro is defense. Johnny Davis is a good defender. So I think you need to look at that as ways to get, if you want to look at ways to get him involved, defense, because he can defend in this league. We just have to work on offense. So I'm going to give him a D. I know a lot of people are going to give him a D- or F. I think there are glimpses of potential. Defensively, he's a good defender. Offensively, needs work. But I think if he's willing to put the work in, he'll get there. So again, everybody, as of this recording, I recorded this day before. But tonight is the NFL draft. So you see me with my Commanders gear on. You saw with the previous video. Obviously, I recorded this yesterday because the NFL draft is tonight as a recording. So definitely tonight is the NFL draft. So definitely show support. Comment below. Let me know who's your team and who you guys want to draft in this year's draft. I believe the draft starts at 8. So again, we had the second overall pick. So for you Commanders fans, definitely a good time, a really important time for the franchise, man, because we can go out there and get that quarterback. And then the draft party is going to be on Saturday at the National Harbor at 11 o'clock. So definitely RSVP. But get back to the Wizards. I appreciate you guys, man. This will be the end of player grades. But if you guys want me to go ahead, you guys comment below. Let me know. If you guys want me to go ahead and grade other players like Eugene Amarui, Jules Bernard, Justin Champagny, I will for you guys. I went ahead and I graded everybody who was at the exit interviews. So everybody I graded were players that were at the exit interview. But again, if you guys want me to go ahead and give you my grade on Eugene Amarui, Jules Bernard, Justin Champagny, maybe even Hamidou Diallo, I can do that for you guys. So definitely comment below and let me know what you guys think. And I will see you guys tomorrow night for the Friday Q&A. So we kick off Friday night right like we always do. So again, I appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to listen to me ramble about the Washington Wizards, man. So definitely appreciate you guys, man. Again, for taking the time to rock with your boy. And again, thank you guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow night for the live Q&A. Appreciate you guys. Hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys next time.